Patrick, tell me how you got into building a coaching company, becoming a speaker, and getting to present on TEDx.
Yeah. So speaking was something that I'm an accidental speaker. So when I started my company in 2001, it's almost going on 20 years now. I was asked to share, how do you help people build relationships? It was a chamber of commerce, gave a speech, went well. Then another chamber found out and said, how much do you charge? I said, I didn't even know that was the thing you could do. So that's when I got into giving paid speeches. And then over time, what I've learned is when you're out there talking, regardless of what your business is, and you're just educating and you're providing information that people can use, that they can say, okay, I can take that and put it into place. Folks will sort themselves out. Some people will become clients, some people will refer you along. And that's just how a speaking business grows organically over time. That's kind of how the TED Talk materialized. Somebody was referred to me who hired me and liked it and then referred me on to TED organizers. So speaking is a great way to get in front of people. It gives you some credibility. Anyone can do it. I actually have always enjoyed it since high school, but I've known a lot of people who have used speaking to grow their businesses. And the key is just to become comfortable with it. And what I advise people to do, if you're interested in speaking and making it part of your business, join Toastmasters. Great organization. I was in Toastmasters for 4 years, super helpful. Costs about $35 a year to be a member. Have to get up every week before a very friendly audience and speak. So it's wonderful practice. So speaking can be a huge part of anyone's business, and it really is the alpha point for client relationships. So people hear you speak and they say, boy, that sounds interesting. They check out your website, they talk to you afterwards. And then you realize that a speech doesn't change people. You need to go in deeper. We started coaching a few years ago. In mortgage, we started coaching at the mortgage company level. Now our biggest client is Fannie Mae. We coach their relationship managers on building better relationships with the banks, the credit unions, the mortgage companies that they get their loans from. So it's kind of a stair-step thing. And in speaking, you start with small audience, work your way up. Coaching, you start with smaller companies, work your way up. Same thing.
So did you start your coaching company prior to speaking, or
no?
Speaking first?
Coaching is very new. Coaching is actually something we've just started doing in the last few years.
Okay.
And it was a realization that it doesn't matter if you're Tony Robbins or, pick your favorite speaker of choice. You don't change people in a speech. You can get them enthused, you can get them interested, but to really change people, you need to work with them on a continuous basis. So that's when we started offering coaching. And honestly, it took off faster than I imagined. And today I get a huge reward out of coaching because I'm actually seeing people do the things that they nod their head that they're going to do, but left to their own devices, a lot of people return to the norm. So when it comes to relationship building, they can hear a great speaker and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then life kind of takes over.
Right.
So, small group coaching is a great way to make sure that people stay on task.
So you'll speak to a team, you'll speak to a large, a company's a group, a company. They become interested in what you're saying, they hire you to be their coach.
Exactly. Yeah. I spoke to Banner Bank. Banner Bank's got mortgage lending, and now we're coaching their LOs in 3 different states, a group of 6. So we work with small groups. I don't believe in one-on-one coaching because accountability comes from people committing in front of their peers that they're going to do these things. And our program is, unlike a lot of coaches, we have a 3-month program where regardless of where they start with relationship building, by the end, they're going to be much better at it and they will see differences. So we don't try to oversell our coaching. We tell a Banner, we tell a Fannie Mae, try us with one group, look at the results, and then based on that, make a decision whether you want to have additional groups.
Nice. So, and it's, well, first of all, how many people do you have on your team?
We're super small. We're a husband-wife business, and then we co-opt coaches and bring them in on an as-needed basis. But the coaching is so new that I'm doing all the coaching directly myself. And then we're building online courses and materials, and the plan is to add in outside coaches. But right now, I want to control the product. So when people hire us for coaching, they're getting me. They know what that experience is going to be like.
Very cool. And the premise is building relationships. That's your primary focus.
Exactly. Yes. Building deep relationships and connections.
Okay.
In our program, we have connecting cohorts that go through a 9-session, 3-month intensive program. And the funny thing is, when people are good at relationship building, they actually benefit the most from this because sharp tools realize that they can get sharper. And that's been my biggest revelation is in this coaching program, I have found that the biggest achievements come from the people who come in at the highest performance levels. It's not remedial stuff. I mean, those folks really need it.
Yeah.
But a lot of times the people who take away are the ones who are already pretty good at it.
Already good at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where'd the book come along? Did you write that prior to, after, during?
The book came out in 2016, and
Okay.
it came out. I was listening to your great talk with Michael Maher of the 7L, who also wrote a parable. And I had a very similar journey to him. I was trying to write a book, nonfiction book about business relationship building, and it was really boring. And I realized that I don't like those types of books. I like Bob Berg and The Go-Giver, Patrick Lencioni's books. I like Og Mandino, if you want to go back in time.
Yep.
You can learn a lot through parable and story. And I realized that I could tell and share my key takeaways about relationship building in the form of a parable, a novel. And that's what I did. And I wrote it about an insurance guy, and I didn't expect the mortgage industry to say, we just replaced his insurance agency with mortgage company. It was our story. So what's great is when you write a parable, people kind of read into it the way they see the characters develop, and they can see themselves in certain roles. And that's the cool thing, is people really throw themselves into it when they see a story.
So how did you come to an insurance guy? I mean, why did you start with that?
Because I heard a lot of insurance folks struggling. So what happened in insurance actually is kind of a precursor to what's happening in mortgage. So when Geico came on the scene, there were a lot of independent insurance agents who thought, oh my gosh, our goose is cooked. You know, Geico spends more than $1 billion a year on advertising. And the thought was independent agents are going to just disappear. That hasn't happened. But here's the thing. Those agents who weren't building relationships, they have been disintermediated. Geico has taken a significant share of personal lines insurance. But those agents who focused in on relationships are doing just fine. And their agencies have grown in value. And those were the relationship builders. So I heard those two tales when I went out and I was speaking in insurance conferences and thought, well, this is a great story, because the winners are the relationship builders. And my story is about a guy whose agency is about to go under because he wasn't focused on relationships. And through a series of great relationships and mentors, they show him a better way. So it's very easy for people to replace insurance with mortgage, because what mortgage is experiencing, actually insurance experienced about 7 or 8 years ago in a big way. So the good news is it might not be as bleak as it could seem. And if you focus on relationships, you're going to do fine.
I'm getting the book today. I'm kind of embarrassed that I love those kinds of books. I've read all of Lencioni's stuff and certainly Michael's, and I agree with you. I think it's a much easier way to connect and learn. So what was your process for writing a book? I mean, did you spend an hour a morning? Probably like speaking. I mean, you're really talented to be able to speak and to write, because those are difficult things, certainly for a lot of different leaders out there. They want to write a book. It's just, how do they go about doing it?
Yeah, it's a workmanlike experience, I think. So there's a great book I would refer people to. Everyone's heard of Stephen King, and they might have seen some of the movies that his books are based on, but he wrote a wonderful book called On Writing. And the middle section, it's an autobiography, but the middle section is about his writing process. And I agree with him 100%. He says that there's no such thing as the muse. A lot of people say, well, I know I got a book of me, and when that idea, it'll just start flowing. Well, it doesn't really work that way. You just have to kind of commit the time, whether it's writing a book or giving a speech. You just have to sit down and do it. And Stephen King's process is he won't watch a Red Sox game until he's done his 1,500 words for the day. He's a big Red Sox fan. So he's turned out 40 books. And he says the best way to write a book is to write a book, not wait for the inspiration to hit you. And he also advises that you read. So the best writers have read a lot of books. So if you write business parables, you better read business parables. So whatever genre you want to be in, you want to kind of familiarize yourself. But once you decide that you're going to write, don't read anything while you're writing it. Just focus in, and whether it's writing or developing a speech, and just block the time. So in my case, it was the weekend.
Do you have to know specifically what you're writing about, or can you have a general idea? You want to talk about leadership, or you want to talk about relationships? Do you start writing and then it starts developing into the more specifics? Or, because I think where I get stuck is, the start, the middle, the end,
Yeah.
and making sure I get it all right. Or is it better just to start writing?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's just you want to start writing and not worry about getting it perfect. But that said, you want to have sort of basic parameters of what you're going to be writing about. So kind of a loose organization. Now, fiction is different from nonfiction. So when I write fiction, I don't know necessarily what's going to happen to the characters. They evolve over time. And Stephen King is in agreement with me. You kind of have an idea, but then they take on a life of their own. So I think in fiction, you can give yourself some more leeway as you write. Ideas are going to come to you. Now, if you're writing nonfiction on how to, be a great loan officer, you're going to have some key points that you want to cover, and you want to probably outline those out. I have key points that I want to cover in my story, but I don't worry about the dialogue or exactly the twists and turns. But what I do right now, I'm writing another book that's a parable, is I basically told the story out loud, and I shared it with some parabolists, other people who write in my genre, and said, hey, what do you guys think about the story? And they said, you might want to like raise the stakes for the main character at the beginning a little bit more. And they're just kind of tweaking the story. And for me, that's actually, I basically have read my story to them, because off the top of my head, now I just have to write it and write the dialogues and develop the characters. So it's a little different process, but it's
very interesting. Man, I can go off on all kinds of questions here, but very, very interesting. So, Patrick, if people want, these listeners, if they want to get a hold of you, get in touch with you, well, first of all, I think everybody should buy his book, because the guests on the show know that the majority of our listeners are loan officers and real estate agents, and that is the relationship business. I mean, for people that are building a career, it's all about building relationships. So absolutely suggest that they get your book. They can get it on Amazon.
They can get it on Amazon. If they go to the connectorsway.com,
Okay.
there will be links to Amazon. There will be a link that if they press on it, they can get the 7 rules for business relationship building that the main character learns. It comes out as this beautiful like document, multicolor document that they can print out. If they don't want to get the book, they can just get those rules. And then all the other links are on there. So theconnectorsway.com is where they should go.
Theconnectorsway.com.
Yeah.
So if they want to get a hold of you, same place, or is
same
there?
place? Yeah. Yep. They would just find my contact information there.
Okay, fantastic. Patrick, I really appreciate your time. We had some difficulty connecting because of my technology skills. But next time, which I hope it's soon, we'll have it right. But I really appreciate your time. Extreme, value. I mean, I love everything you talked about, and I may end up giving you a call to get some help in some areas. So thank you very much.
Well, Dan, thank you so much. And I love your show, and keep on spreading the good word about the importance of relationship building.